Look at this beautifully dirty oven. I get to clean that. Jealous? Yeah, I thought so, but I'll be nice and let you watch. So that's coming up a little later in this video. And here's a look at the kitchen I'll be working in today. The resident has already been working on shifting some things around in this kitchen to make it more functional, and I was asked to help mainly with some of the deep cleaning and then decluttering and organizing some of the drawers and cabinets. So here's a peek at just a few of the areas we'll be working on in the kitchen. But besides the kitchen, we'll also be working in this front room, cleaning it up and shifting stuff around to make it more functional, and also to make room for a kitchen table in here. This is actually the third video I've released of this home, but this time I'll be working alongside the resident, who I'm calling Angela. This is her father-in-law's home, and she, her husband, and 2 kids live in the basement. And if you want to hear more of the backstory to this family and their situation, make sure you check out the other 2 videos in this series. These are a couple of areas we've already transformed in this home, and the videos themselves are pretty fun, but also packed with a lot of good information. So make sure you check those out if you haven't. All right, let's get some oven cleaner started working on this oven. First, I'm going to take the oven rack out and put it in a garbage bag, spray it down with oven cleaner and set that aside, and then spray down the rest of this oven. While I do that, for anyone who hasn't seen the first 2 videos in this series, let me give you a quick synopsis of the story behind this clean. Angela is on a mission to make this home cleaner, safer, and more functional for not only her family, but also for her father-in-law, who has issues with mobility and is also on oxygen. She really wants to give her kids better structure and teach them good habits. She works full-time, but took the day off to work with me on getting things cleaner and more organized in the kitchen and front room. And although there were a lot of things that she wanted to accomplish that weren't quite feasible to do in just this one day and with just the 2 of us, the main thing she wanted was to create room for a table in the front room so that she and her family could sit down and enjoy meals together, which I thought was pretty awesome. And I admire her willingness to put in the work to create a better environment for her family. Okay, we're gonna let the oven cleaner sit for as long as possible under that plastic wrap just to keep it moist. So that will be one of the last things that I do. All right, let's start pulling everything out of these drawers. You can see these drawers are in desperate need of containers or some kind of dividers so that everything isn't just tossed in here randomly. But before that happens, there's some decluttering that needs to be done. And I'm going to leave that to Angela since she knows better what they actually need to keep. And she was pretty ruthless when it came to decluttering. There were so many things that she wanted to get rid of. However, she was a little bit limited because not all of these items are hers. As I mentioned, she lives here with her father-in-law, so there were some of these items she had to check with him on, and I think there were a lot more things that she wanted to get rid of that he wasn't quite willing to part with, but still, the end result is way better than this. And I brought some containers and dividers that she could use to organize that after she decluttered everything. So I'll show you that at the end, how much she got that pared down. But I can tell you from experience that decluttering is one of the most freeing things there is. Every time something leaves my house, I just think that's one less thing I have to worry about. And by the way, if you need some decluttering motivation, you're in luck. I just did a decluttering challenge like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It is a 1-hour speed declutter, and even I was surprised at how much I could get rid of in just 1 hour. So go check it out. Okay, as Angela continues to work on decluttering some of those items, I'm going to move to the counter area where a lot of this stuff has been pulled out of the cabinets, and I'm going to just start grouping things into like categories. Check out this vintage crock pot. I remember having one very similar to this growing up, so it's always fun to run across some of those vintage items. And he was actually willing to get rid of that, so I took it to my mom and she put it in her vintage boutique. There was also a lot of really cool vintage glass that's in this box back here, which he'll probably get rid of a lot of that as well, but he wanted to go through it first, so we set that aside for him. Do you like how I used a cake pan and a bread pan to wrangle all of those medicines? I just use whatever's around me. That's just temporary. That was just to get them out of the way. Although I did not really know where to stack these after I got them all together because there is chaos all around me and nowhere to set anything. I don't do a lot of wide shots in this video because I'm working with Angela and I didn't want to create more work for myself and blur her out and all that. So you'll just have to trust me. It is chaos all around me. Oh, look, it's those hospital mugs that I find in every single home I work in. Everybody has like 3 or 4 of these, and I feel like nobody ever actually uses them because they have other favorite mugs or tumblers that they use instead. So almost every single time we get rid of these hospital mugs, and they go to the thrift store. Angela had to run somewhere for about an hour, so I decided to use that time to start organizing some of these cabinets. And I wanted to point out this silver thing right here because I ended up repurposing it for something, which I'll show you in just a minute. If you're thinking this is gross that I'm using a broom to sweep this out because of, all of the nasty places it's been, well, I totally agree with you, which is why I am now going to spray this down with Odoban and let that sit for about 5 to 10 minutes to disinfect it. And while that's sitting, I'm going to sweep out this other cabinet and get that one sprayed down with Odoban as well. A lot of you already know how much I love Odoban. It's not only a great all-purpose cleaner, but it's a good sanitizer and disinfectant. Plus, it smells amazing. The cottonberry scent is currently my favorite. If you wanted to try some out yourself, find the Amazon link that's in my video description, and that will take you to a page that has all of my favorite cleaners, which Odoban is one of them. Okay, here comes the before and after of these 2 cupboards. And I have to say, I try to organize everything vertically where I can, but I don't always have the right tools to do that. But in this case, I did repurpose this napkin holder, that's what that is right there, and use that to store some of these pans vertically in this cupboard. And then in this cupboard where I pointed out that silver thing earlier, which I'm pretty sure is actually for silverware, well, I repurposed that to hold these pots and pans lids. And actually both of those items were things that she was decluttering, so it was kind of fun to show her how I repurposed those. All right, now let's get rid of some of this grease around the stove area. The hood always gets really greasy, so I'm spraying this down with Crud Cutter, which my preferred lately is Dawn Power Wash, but I need to use up this Crud Cutter. I've had it for quite a while and I'm just trying to get it used up. Not that there's anything wrong with Crud Cutter, but honestly, I think one of the main reasons why I love Dawn Power Wash for all of the greasy stuff that I clean is because of the bubbles. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but I just love seeing the bubbles and it makes everything feel like it's so much cleaner afterwards, which I know is the dumbest reason, but I don't care. It makes me happy, okay? Also, this was super satisfying. This stovetop did not look that dirty at all, but once I pulled my scraper out and started getting under those little cracks, there was so much crud that came up, and oh my gosh, was this satisfying. I mean, look at that. Look at that. I'm not saying I want to eat it, but Oh, okay, just kidding. I would never, obviously, but there's just something about it that, again, makes me so happy. Okay, that crud cutter has been sitting on this hood for quite a while now, so let's give it a good wipe. I didn't have a good place to put the camera, so I had to hold it, which does make this a little more difficult to wipe with just one hand and try to keep the camera steady. I guess I could have asked Angela to just stop and record this for me, but I don't know why, I just didn't think about that. Oh well, we got it done. Okay, so here's a before and after of not only the hood, but also the cupboard above it that had all the medicine in it, plus that crock pot. And we took all that out, got it more organized, and put it back in there with some Lazy Susans, because that just makes that so much easier to access in those high cupboards. And yes, that is an empty Lazy Susan. I left that for them because I knew there was a lot more medicine that needed to go up there, but they needed to go through it first. All right, I'm going to give this one last quick wipe down, and then we're going to move our attention to the front room where there's a lot of vacuuming that needs to be done. So while Angela's vacuuming, I'm going to start wiping down some of the medical equipment that's out in this front room, like this portable oxygen concentrator. And just cleaning this reminded me that there is a gentleman that lives in this home who is on oxygen. Now, I've never been on oxygen, but I would imagine that having a lot of cat hair and dust on top of just needing extra oxygen probably doesn't help the situation. So it's great that Angela has taken the initiative to get this home cleaned up, and hopefully he can breathe a lot easier without all of that dust and cat hair floating around. Yes, this would have been easier to have both hands available. So I will be setting my camera down in just a second. But when I vacuumed the top of this, I was thinking I probably could have used a rubber glove and gotten this off a lot quicker. It seems like that's the method that worked the best when we were cleaning up the father-in-law's room. And by the way, if you have already watched that video, just know that I have posted these out of order. So that, even though I posted that one first, it didn't happen until a week after this clean. So I hadn't thought of the rubber glove at that time. But yeah, just spritzing this with a little water and then using a rubber glove, I think would have taken that cat hair off a lot quicker. I know parts of it still needed the vacuum, but especially that top part would have gone a lot quicker with the rubber glove. If you find this kind of content helpful, or you just like to see the transformation, can I ask you to do something for me that won't cost you anything but would help me out tremendously? So YouTube has rolled out this new feature called hyping a video. It was created to help smaller creators get more traction on their channel and get their videos pushed out to a wider audience. It only works on videos that have been posted in the past 7 days, and you can hype 3 videos per week, or you can use all 3 hypes on the same video. It's also only available on mobile devices, and it's not available to everyone. Like me, for instance. I have no idea why, but I cannot hype videos. But if you do have this feature available, this is where you would find it. If you go right under the title and you see this list of things here, it should be either in that section, or you can go to the comment carousel and swipe left, and that should give you the option to hype this video. And don't worry, it's totally free. So if you would consider giving this video a hype, I would appreciate that so much. Angela borrowed a steam cleaner from her sister to clean these floors, but before she hits this with the steam cleaner, I'm going to just spray down some of the worst areas with Autobahn just to loosen up some of that debris. And while she steam cleans that, guess what I get to do? Clean this oven. I'm so excited, and you should be too, because this is an amazing transformation. And just so you can really soak in all the beauty of this, I'm not going to say much for the next few minutes and just let you enjoy. If you've seen me clean ovens before, you know I usually use my razor scrapers, and this is pretty much the same kind of thing that I'm using here, but it's a glass scraper or paint scraper. I don't know exactly what you would call it, but I just decided I wanted to try this time. But there are parts of this that I think would have been easier with my razor scraper, especially my smaller razor scraper that could have gotten into those narrower areas a little easier. Like all of this stuff would have been easier with that smaller razor scraper. Or perhaps a pumice stone, but I have some texture issues with using the pumice stone. It has nothing to do with actually touching the pumice stone, but there's something about the sound and feel of a pumice stone scraping on things that I just, I don't like it. Isn't this looking amazing so far? The enamel's missing. There. It's just gone. I know that was kind of hard to hear what I was saying, but I was showing you that the enamel was missing in those spots. So it's never going to look clean right there because the enamel is just completely gone. It's been chipped off. As a side note, if you use oven cleaner on your oven, make sure you rinse it really well. I don't film all of the rinsing that I do of this oven because that would be boring, but I did take a wet rag and wipe this down several times. But besides that, I also recommend that you burn off any remaining chemicals before you cook food in your oven. So turn it on to about 350 degrees for about a half an hour. And while you're doing that, it's best if you're not in the same room or even in the house if you can, and open windows and doors. Just give it as much ventilation as you can. I did do a little bit more scrubbing that I didn't film, and like I said, I didn't film all of the rinsing that I did. But before I show you the before and after of this oven, I'm going to first scrub the front of this oven. And guess what I'm going to use to do that? My favorite, Dawn Power Wash. Here come those beautiful, beautiful bubbles. Okay, here's a before and after of the front of that oven. Look how much shinier that is. And then I lied to you a little bit. Let's first see what Angela's done with these drawers, and then I'll show you the before and after of the oven. So here's what that top drawer looked like before, and here's what it looks like now. There's actually a little organization here. Here's the before of that second drawer down. And here's what it looks like now. There's almost nothing in this drawer. I love it. She moved that plastic wrap and other things elsewhere. And now there's room for a lot of other stuff in that drawer. And finally, here's that bottom drawer and what it looks like now. It still needs to be organized and there's still more she needs to go through, but it's a start. Okay, now just for fun, I'm going to give you the super sped up 10-second version of cleaning this oven, because who wouldn't want to see this again? And here is the after. Whoa, beautiful. And yes, I know that oven rack is missing. That's because it's still in this garbage bag. I left that for Angela to do because I was here about 3 hours longer than I planned on. So I figured that was fair. And now here's a before and after of that oven. Wasn't that beautiful how well those two pictures synced up? It was so beautiful, in fact, that I'm going to reverse that and show it to you again. You are welcome. Okay, let's see this front room and how it turned out. Not bad, eh? There's a lot more that I really, really wanted to do, but it still looks so much better. This pile of stuff right here, by the way, is stuff that her father-in-law needs to go through. So it's a bit of an eyesore, but we had to put it somewhere. When you see the after of this entertainment center, I'm sure you'll notice the TV screen is still pretty grimy. That's because I didn't bring my electronics wipes, and I know there are certain chemicals that can ruin the TV screen, so I didn't want to risk damaging it. So no, I did not really clean the TV screen. So there we go. Mission accomplished. We have a table in this front room just like she wanted, and she and her family can now enjoy family dinners together around this beautiful table, which her husband built, by the way, and I think it's gorgeous. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so thankful for your support. Remember to check out the other 2 videos in this series and to give this video a hype. We'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.